Okay, two of the things you struggled on Monday were the area and circumference of circles. Now, you did the clip, and most of you did all right on the clip. I know some of you had to, you struggled a bit with in terms of pi. None of the quizzes that I give you are going to ask you for in terms of pi. We'll come to that later. But I need you to understand, when you asked for the area or circumference of a circle, it's the same process every time. You're just looking for different things. So if I'm asked for the area of a circle, straight away, something has to pop into my head. What do you think that thing is that has to pop into my head? The thing that I have to remember is that formula. And if I don't remember that formula, I can't do that question. And that sets me up. It's the same as Pythagoras, it's the same as trigonometry. If I can remember that formula, it sets me up. The second thing I always do is then look at the information that's given me. Look at the top left. What is that 4 centimetres? Is it the radius or is it the diameter? It's the radius. Does my formula ask for the radius? Yes, it does. So I've got the information I need. I substitute it in. If I need it in terms of pi, it'd be that. And if I type it into my calculator, pi times 4 squared, and I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place, I get 50.3. Same thing on the one underneath. I've got my area formula, I've remembered that. Look at my picture. What have they given me? They've given me the diameter. Does my formula use diameter? No, it uses radius. So half it, because the radius is half the diameter. Now I'm ready to substitute into my formula. And that's the bit that I think is catching some of you out. It's that you've got to look at the picture and have a look at what information they've given you. You've also got to write down the formula. If it's in terms of pi, that'd be 36 pi. I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place. It's 113.1. Now, what you do with circumference is exactly the same, but how do you think it starts differently? They're asking me for the circumference of a circle. What's the first thing that should pop into my head? That's right, the formula. Circumference is pi times d. If you don't remember that, you don't know that you're looking for d. You've got to remember the formula to know that you're looking for the diameter. Now look at the picture here where the 7 is. Is that the radius or the diameter? That one's the radius. Do I want the radius? No, look at my formula. My formula wants the diameter. To get the diameter, I've got to double it because diameter's all the way across. Now, do you see, there's lots you've got to remember. Radius, diameter, formulae. They're the first steps to all of these questions. Have I got the radius or the diameter, and what's the formulae? Until you've got those bits of information, you can't start these questions. So every single question like this, radius, diameter, what's my formula? If you think about those 3 things, you'll set yourself up, and all you need to do then is type it into a calculator. So let's set it up. It's pi times, I need my diameter, so I've got to use the 14. If you're doing it in terms of pi, that's 14 pi. I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place. That's going to be 44.0. Okay, looking at the final question, what have they given me, my radius or the diameter? Now, if you're forgetting which one's the radius and which one's the diameter, one way to remember it is the radius is the shorter word. There's less letters in radius than there are diameter. So the radius is the shorter length. This one here, they've given me the diameter. I want the radius. That's shorter, so I've got to half it. Oh, no, I don't want the radius, do I? I want the diameter, so I'm fine. You can, if you want every question, just write both of them out, then look at your formula and say, oh, yeah, it's the diameter I need, so I'll ignore that one. Pi times 3. In terms of pi, that's 3 pi. Rounded to 1 decimal place is 9.4. Every single question, you think about your formula, and you think about the information you're given. If you find an area, you need the radius. Check what you're given. If you're finding circumference, you need the diameter. Check what you're given. We will practice this again and again and again. Don't give up, because if this question comes up in an exam and you've practiced, you will get it. So you must keep practicing. So read the question, write the formula, check what you're given, and then you'll be able to substitute it in. The other thing you're struggling to remember the difference between is area and perimeter. Remember, area is the space inside the shape, and perimeter is the distance around the edge. You have to remember the difference. So for perimeter, distance around the edge, perimeter you will add. And for area, you will usually, you'll always multiply something, you just might have to do something else as well. There was a question on your test, and the picture was a square, and one side had a length of 7 centimetres. Now, if it's a square, that means all sides will be 7. Now, what's the difference between the area and the perimeter? The area is this space inside. On every row, there are 7 centimetres. And there are, because this is 7 centimetres, there are 7 rows. That means the area must be 7 times 7, which is 49. For perimeter, it's the distance around the edge. So perimeter would be 7, add 7, add 7, add 7. 28. Most of you had an answer of 28. You are mixing up perimeter and area. Perimeter is when you add the distance around the edge, but area is when you're looking inside the shape. And these measurements tell you how many squares in each row and how many rows there are. So just think really carefully about those as well.